Hey guys, it's Mizzy, and I'm a mixed girl in a mixed up world. Welcome to the live show. Thank you, everybody, for coming to join me for the after party. Give me 1 second. I'm just trying to get the chat up and going. How is everyone doing tonight? Did you guys enjoy the episode? Yeah, I thought they did a pretty good job. It's definitely better than Karen's case was. Can you guys hear me? Whoops. Sorry, I got to move my microphone. Just want to make sure you guys can hear me. Okay. Okay. Now it's all cockeyed. All right, that's a little better. How's everyone doing tonight? Yeah, that's an interesting part. I knew Chief McNamara had been talking to the FBI because when she did the press conference the day he was arrested, he she you could tell that she had been talking to them. I didn't know it was 2 years before, so that does explain some stuff. I just want to make sure you guys can hear me because I can't tell. Because I had to unplug my microphone earlier, or last time I used it because I was on. When I go on somebody else's show, for some reason my microphone doesn't work well. If I'm filming with somebody else. Okay, good. Thanks, Barb. So yeah, I knew that she had been working with them because of when he was arrested, she went out and spoke to them. As I was saying, I already said, but didn't know it was 2 years because we had always been wondering. Hey Annie, how are you tonight? We had always wondered when exactly the investigation started. But it does answer something. It wasn't because of the Karen Read case, because their internal report came out in 2022 in September, and Karen's case didn't start heating up. So I'm not sure if anybody in the chat knows around the date when they started talking to people. But I know in they didn't start into a lot of, like, the McAlberts didn't go for the grand jury till mid 2023, if I remember correctly. So I think it was a combination of the two. So that kind of makes me happy. It'll be on their YouTube tomorrow, and you can also watch it on Peacock tomorrow, but it won't be on there till tomorrow. And you can watch it on their website also. I have to find something that we're going to watch. But yeah, I mean, it was definitely a lot better than the Karen Read one was. This one did pretty good when it came to that. Yeah, I just remember. Yeah, I believe you're right. And I think that's around the time that they went to Colin. So if they started looking, in 2022 when the report came out, they were about the same time they were starting to look at both cases. So that makes you wonder a little bit more. Yeah, it was good to hear from, not just, we all love Barb, but it was good to hear from more of the family, and also good to hear from Cheryl, or Sandra. She was the vice principal at the school that Sandra worked at. So yeah, that was good. What was your favorite part of the show? I did not know that they had spoken to Chief McNamara. You know, I have feelings because, you know, she's trying to also rehabilitate her station, and that's not a negative. I mean, who wouldn't want to rehabilitate their station after all this freaking madness? So this was a way for her to get out in front of all that. So we got to take that into account. But I mean, you know, I've said it before, and I will always give her credit for asking for that internal investigation to happen. And I'm so glad that they did, because it was like the kind of the obviously it's when the FBI came in, it was the turning point in Sandra's case. Yeah, I agree. I agree, Barb. You know, I agree, you know, but yeah, like I said, she when Annie can testify to this, you know, when they did when Matthew Farrell was arrested, you know, she was down at the courthouse and she spoke at the press, you know, outside. She took questions and made a statement. So, so, and I mean, it did the Stone Police Department drop the ball when it came to Sandra? Of course. It was 3 of their officers that did this to Sandra. And one of them ultimately went on to not only groom, sexually assault her, but also went on to murder her. But you don't expect that your officers are doing this kind of shit. You know, you think your officers are doing their job, and they were supposed to be mentors to these young people. I don't necessarily agree with part of what she said. Give me 1 second. I got to take my inhaler. Because she said they looked into, you know, to make sure that no other kid was harmed. And from speaking to some former explorers and parents of some of these explorers, they were never spoken to. So I don't know if they just spoke to people in Sandra's class or what. So I'll just put that out there too. Yeah, I mean, like, you know, when it comes to the Stoughton Police Department, you know, they couldn't arrest Farrell for murder. You know, it wasn't she wasn't murdered in Stoughton. She was murdered in Canton. You know, I don't 100% understand fully how where the jurisdiction of Massachusetts State Police comes in, because could they have gotten, but like she said, that was one of the things. Sandra wasn't around to testify against Matthew Farwell for the abuse. Hello, thank you for joining us. So that was one of the things that they were using as one of the excuses all along, saying we can't arrest Farwell for the abuse, or we're looking in ways to go after him. That was what that's what Fanning told me. But it's like something needs to change in our in our laws, that when a person is murdered by somebody who abused them, and the murder is part of the cover-up, so they can't testify against them, there has to be a way to still charge that person. It makes no sense when they have electronic proof. They have the text messages, and I'm so glad. I know I'm kind of scattering around, but that's my ADHD. I am so glad that they hammered in that that those text messages were all there. It wasn't found by the FBI. Massachusetts State Police had those text messages. I have been screaming about this for the longest time. They had those text messages. Oops. Hi, Cheryl. Nice to see you. Good job tonight. I fully agree with you. I fully agree with you, and I'm so glad that you spoke with them. You know, uh, you know, I'm glad that we suggested they speak to you. Because you added some texture in there that, somebody who saw her day to day in school and how normal it wasn't for, Sandra not to be in school, and how abnormal it was for you guys not being able to get in touch with her, especially since she spoke to somebody that on that Monday night and was asking if there was going to be school on Tuesday. So, okay, Wildflower, we'll be here. Yeah, they didn't mention Josh Heel. Sorry, it jumped. Yeah, oh, there it is. I don't know why they didn't mention him. Like I can tell you why I was interviewed. I wasn't in it. I'm a little salty now. Not that me. I don't care that I wasn't in it. I had pushed really hard because I was told earlier this summer that I didn't make the cut, which was fine. I don't care. It's not about me. It's about Sandra. But I'm a little salty that Free Karen Reed got all that time and we didn't get any time. Like I had pushed so hard to get a 30-second spot saying, hey, just show us out there because we were doing the same thing as Free Karen Reed. We were out there, and like there were some people, like I said, I don't care if I'm in it. If this is about Sandra, but I am a little salty about that part because the work that our group has done, like Annie Jones, she's in the chat, I think, unless she just popped in, popped out. She is one of our, she supports so much for this cause. And like Peter Murphy and Joe Gorman and the Sweeneys come to our standouts, and there's so many people I don't want to miss, the other Joe and Jack and the Wades, Tim, these are people who come and support us in rain, snow, and sleet. And trust me, they have been there in the rain, in the snow, in the sludge. And I just wanted them all to get their time in the spotlight. So I'm a little salty about that, but there's supposed to be something I'm going to show you guys in a little bit. I am going to need a second to find it in a minute. Rachel, yes, Rachel, even Trisha. Who else? There's so many people. I'm sorry if I'm not saying your name, and it even includes behind it is the creators, like they're part of the Justice for Sandra Birchmore group, like Mike from the Young Jerks, the Glare, LTL, even Turtle Boy. They might not come to the standouts, but they've helped us be able to push Sandra's story out there, and I just feel like I'm a little salty that Free Karen Reed got all that time and the Justice for Sandra Birchmore group didn't get any. But besides that, I'm not going to say the rest of my thoughts. But but besides that, I thought it was really good, and they did such a better job than they did for the Karen Reed one. Bob, can you think of anybody else I didn't shout out? I'm trying to think. Trying to think of who comes. Tim. I mean, like it in Jen Root, just on Root's sister. Her and I have partnered up to do combined standouts to push out this story. And there's just so many other people who Kurt, who came and filmed our last standout at Morrissey's office. New friends like Maria and Colleen and Debbie, and I'm trying to think of all. I'm just trying to, names are popping in my head. Sorry if I'm not. I haven't called your name out because Beatrice has come to a lot of our standouts, and trying to think, just and even and she doesn't come to our standouts that often. She's only come one time. Yeah, those are the Sweeneys, Dennis and Brenda, the Sweeneys. But Ashley Bell, she's always going to be considered a part of our group. So I just feel like that. I'm a little salty about that, and that's all I got to say. Like I said, not me on screen. I don't even care. It's just showcase the group, because we were a drive. I mean, like, yes, I've said it many, many, many times. The Boston Globe. I mean, like, obviously the family. One of her cousins went to the Boston Globe, and picked up the story, and they broke it in 2022, and then excuse me, I have Doritos in my throat. Then the internal report came out, and then the case podcast came out, and then the family filed their lawsuit, and then now I feel like we picked up the baton, and we ran with it, and we started this campaign online to really, really get you all involved. And I just feel like, and it's all of you too. You guys are part of the Justice for Sandra Birchmore group. So that's my only cry. Anyway, but I am so thankful, shout out to Cassandra for, doing an awesome job. And you guys, to me, I feel like you guys did, you told Sandra's story. I wish we could have got the 2 hour this time so we could fill a little bit more in, but it does start the conversation for people who don't know the full thing. So all right, I gotta look something up, so talk amongst yourselves. Yes, Cassandra was the producer that we worked with, and she was awesome. Okay, let me trying to think of the best way to find. Let me do this. No, that's the. Bob, do you have any idea where that video is supposed to be? I know she said social media, but I'm not seeing it yet. Yeah, I'm not seeing it. Let me try TikTok. If not, I might have to just wait and play this on my next live. There's supposed to be a video being released tonight about the work that we've done, with the Justice for Sandra Birchmore group, but I'm not seeing it. It hasn't dropped yet. Anyway, I'll look again in a few minutes. I tried Instagram. I tried all three. I tried, I didn't try Facebook. Let me just check Facebook really quick. Maybe they're going to wait till after the West Coast sees it. Yeah, I'm not seeing it. I'll check again in a little bit. Yeah, that's what I'm wondering if they're waiting till after Barb, after the West Coast airs. Can you check the text messages with Cassandra to find out if maybe that's what she said? Just so I can keep talking. Thanks, Barb. Anyway, so we're just so happy. I'm so thankful and so happy that they got it out to a bigger audience, and got it to a bigger audience. That's the one other thing that I kind of was a little bit disappointed in, is just they didn't highlight Michael Morrissey enough. There should have been more mentioned about Michael Morrissey and their lack of doing, we had many talks with, I had a few talks with Cassandra about, time. And because they were only greenlit for an hour, and they weren't able to do a 2-hour in this episode. So you got to figure, with commercials, it only ends up being, oh my God, Scott, I can't believe I forgot you. I was shouting people out, and I was trying to think of everybody who comes to our stand-ups. Scott is one of our OGs who, I've said this many times if you've watched my shows. Scott helped me in the chats for people. And like Barb said, he's been there from the beginning when I started the Facebook page, and in the chat rooms for other creators. He was mentioning Sandra early on, and like it was one of the things that helped me be able to be like, yes, Sandra Birchmore, and not get like side eye, So, but that's who I was like, I know there's somebody I'm forgetting, and I don't know why, because but Scott is definitely one of those people that when I say the Justice for Sandra Birchmore group, I don't mean me. I mean all of us, who have been, like I said, rain, snow, wind, sleet, have always been out there for her, and definitely one of those people is Scott. Hi, Debbie. How are you? Let me see. Who else? Who else? I just saw somebody else. Yes. Excuse me. Yes, his pink. And I mean, and also, like, like he would have like a a free Karen Reed side on one side of his post that he would bring to Karen Reed, everything for Karen Reed, but Sandra was on the other side. And if you look at the footage from outside when Karen was found not guilty, Scott was there and he was holding a Sandra Birchmore sign. So I mean, like, Scott holds a place in our hearts like so much because he's always pushed Sandra's case out there. Hi, Life Artist. How are ya? How are you? I don't know why I said that like that. I'm a little delirious. It's like drinking Mountain Dew, which I shouldn't be at this time because I'm going to be like bouncing off the walls. Um, but yeah, that's my only like I said gripe, that I was a little disappointed. Um, oh, Sunday night, Barb and I will be on the Canton Chronicle at 7 o'clock. So please come watch us over there. We're going to talk about Sandra's case. We're going to talk about Dateline, and we'll probably talk about the Boston Globe article because a lot of crazy stuff happened this week. So let me scroll back up because I think I missed some comments. I was hoping that the video would be out so I could at least get that out to show you guys. Well, it's not late for me. I'm usually up late. It's just I decided to crack a Mountain Dew open because I had Doritos and a Mountain Dew for like a snack and to like watch it. And I didn't drink much of my Mountain Dew. So I probably won't finish. I'll probably just put it in the fridge so it stays cold. I try not to drink Mountain Dew only when I'm getting a migraine, and I drink one while I watch the Patriots play. But I decided to have one tonight. That's fine, Barb. I know it's been a long day and an emotional day for you, and I appreciate you even, coming in the chat. So, is there any questions that anybody has? Anything that they didn't address or anything that they kind of touched upon that you have any questions about? Because I can try to answer any of the questions that you feel like that they didn't answer in this episode. Yeah, me either. I need it for my migraines. I can't remember his name offhand. Give me 1 second. Let me see. The unit commander, like, retired right away. Like, after Sanders' case ended, he like pretty much retired right after it. Oh, Massachusetts State Police. I'm gonna butcher his name. It was Detective Lieutenant Gerald Mattalonia. Sorry, Matt Lino, Mattaliano. Yes. So I always forget his name. Yes, that's the name. Like I said, he retired not too long after. Tully only had a little bit to do with it, and it was mostly after, like, when Morrissey was asking him stuff. Thank you, Sue. Um, you're welcome. You're welcome. Yeah, yes, as Barb said, our next standout is next Saturday, 12 to 3 at Stoughton Town Center. Um, it's right across from the Stoughton town hall, so you can put that into your GPS system if you don't know how to get there. Please come join us. We wear light blue for Sandra. Her favorite color was blue. We wear light blue because it's baby blue for the baby and Sandra. It's not a gender thing. It's just, we know that baby, a lot of people say baby blue for a boy child, but baby. And then Sandra's favorite color was blue. And we do have some extra signs, but if you could make one to bring with you, that would be great. So please come join us. And yeah. And then Matthew Farwell has 2 court dates coming up in October. October 6th. That is at 2 p.m. We will be there at 12:30. And then his next one is the 16th. And that is at 9 o'clock. We will be there at 8. It looks like these two is the one on the 6th is the last pretrial motions, and then they'll start getting into, it's transitioning into the next stage, and they will get their permanent judge at the 16th hearing. So we just hope both of them happen, so we can get some movement on this case. And if they start a trial, I assume on the 16th, that is when the Speedy Trial Act will be enacted. Yeah, I agree. She came off well. I mean, she was in a tough place, but I just look at it. Anybody who worked in there should have had some sort of indications. What came out in the Boston Globe from Divine's hearing of why my brain isn't working. Why the former deputy chief, who's now the Hanson chief, the one who did the investigation, he said he stopped talking, like kind of stopped being friends with Divine because he was getting a little too cozy with a former explorer, and that was not Sandra, because Sandra was still in the program. She had just joined the program in like 2011. So, yeah. Holmes. Sorry, his last name is Holmes. He was Deputy Chief Holmes at the time when he did the investigation into Robert Divine, Matthew Farwell, and William Farwell. So I don't know. It's madness, We don't know. I have some suspicions. Just because she was pushing a lot and she was putting a lot of pressure on Matthew, so I wouldn't be surprised if this is me speculating. I wouldn't be surprised if he was trying to get her to chill out. They're not going to disclose that. There's no way they're going to disclose that. That person's a witness in for the trial. They're not going to put that person's name out there. That person is going to be like one of the star witnesses at Matthew Farwell's trial, because that person will talk about how Farwell flipped out when that person told him about it. Yeah, I agree. She kind of, I think in hindsight, there are a lot of things a lot of people in that station should have done. But I have to give her credit for giving, at the time, Deputy Chief Holmes the carte blanche to like full go on investigate this case. If that part of the investigation was never done, like if they didn't open up an internal investigation, we wouldn't have found out about a lot of the stuff that was going on. So, trust me, we all want to know who that person was who took that phone call, but they're not going to let that person's name out because, like I said, they are going to be one of the star witnesses in Matthew Farwell's trial. Yes. They sent two resource officers went, and a patrolman. The resource officers are the one who actually got the call. They kind of didn't say that on this because they called the Stoughton PD, and then they called the resource officer, and the resource officer is the one who called Lank to let him know, and they went to the office. Yes. Yeah, that's basically what I'm trying to say, Cheryl. Yeah, because they thought she lived in Stoughton at first, and then they contacted the it was school resource officer to school resource officer. Why am I saying resource officer? Funny. So it wasn't like a call that went into the station. It went to those officers. And then no, they didn't call. They called Stoughton because that's where they thought she lived, but they didn't know she had moved to Canton. And excuse me, they didn't call the Canton PD. They called the school resource officer for Sharon called the Canton school resource officer, and two of them went to Sandra's apartment, and they were met there by a patrolman. Yes. Nobody from Stoughton called Lank. Lank's officers called Lank. The Canton school resource officer, after he got off the phone with the Sharon school resource officer, he called Lank and told him that they needed to do a wellness check needed to be done at Sandra's apartment. And Lank was the supervisor on. Yes. Okay. Yeah, Lank was the detective supervisor on duty at that time. So he said, "Yeah, go over and look for her." And then you heard in those transmissions um, that he was telling them to go check her car because they went to the door. She didn't answer the door, and then she they said Lank they messaged Lank and said, "Hey, she's not answering the door." He said, "Go check to see if her car's there." They went to the car. They saw snow on it, and it had snow. It hadn't snowed since it snowed from the first, which I believe was Monday, into Tuesday, the second, and there was still snow on her car. So that meant she hadn't cleaned her car off, and they knew it hadn't snowed since Tuesday. So that's when they got the key from the office. Yeah, I believe he's the one who took the call, and he was kind of almost the one who, I guess, what you would say, take the lead. He was the first officer in her apartment. He is the one who technically found Sandra. So, and he's the one who had the best reports. Although his description of what the ligature was a little wacky. Hold on, let me scroll up because I want to. Scott said, "What upset me is the Stoughton chief had offenders working for her as cops so from afar. Why didn't she arrest them, not just fire them?" See, that is my one question. Is I don't understand how Massachusetts, because, like, if it was the Boston police, they would just go arrest them. It's like, does the Massachusetts State Police handle those cases? I mean, what cases do they handle in the Stoughton Police Department? That's one thing I don't that's one thing I've always wondered about. Like, why couldn't Stoughton arrest them? That's what I actually, conversation that I did have with a Stoughton police officer. It was he said that we did our investigation and we turned everything over to the Massachusetts State Police. And he said it was on, he's like, we couldn't do anything about her death because it didn't take part in our jurisdiction. I believe he said that it was on Massachusetts State Police to do something about the abuse. But that's what I don't understand is why doesn't the Massachusetts State Police just handle all these jurisdictions? If they don't, what do they handle then? If you don't handle sex crimes and you don't handle murders, well, what, just like break-ins and petty crimes? That's what I'm confused about. Ye- Yaten, um, Officer Yaten, and there was also no, Good wasn't a part of this case. Um, there was also Officer Brady, but there's no reports for Brady. I don't have a report for Brady. Yep, exactly. Yep. That's who it is. Who no longer works for Canton Police Department either, and he's making candles in the cells down by the Cape. I don't know. It's weird that two of the officers who were part of that scene are no longer officers. The other one is Detective McCourt. No, Heel was never a Stoughton police officer. Heel was an animal control officer. And then he went on to become a police officer in Abington. He was never a police officer at Stoughton. He was an animal control officer. Yeah, there was an incident, I think on New Year's, around New Year's. There wasn't not in Sanders' apartment, but in that apartment building, in and around that time. And rumor is that this case had a lot to do with it, him leaving. Yes, right, Barb. Not the only reason. Whoops. Not the only reason. One of the reasons. Josh Hale met Sandra when she was an adult. He was her confidant. He is most likely going to be a federal, federal witness. And if there is a trial, he's going to be like star number one witness because she confided in him a lot. Oh, you know what? You're right, Barb. You're right. It is the day. So it was December 1st. The day Sandra moved in. You're right. Yeah, it's been a long emotional day, so I'm not gonna stay too late because we're gonna have a crazy day tomorrow. Our page is gonna it's gonna be crazy there. What? I feel like I read a report from CPD that was related to Sandra at that apartment before her death. No, I don't think she had she was only there for like 2 months. So I don't believe she had any interactions. Whoops. Thank you, Sue. Thank you for joining us. Thank you. Yeah, it's gonna be a crazy day for Barb and I, and Barb's other cousin Tracy, who's gonna help us out this weekend because we're gonna it's gonna go up and up and up. Like I already made pre-made we hit 17K today just after the show, and I made a 18K thank you because we'll probably hit that by tomorrow night. Let me check one more time to see if they dropped that report. Report. Nope. Still not there. I guess I'll have to play it on my show on Monday. I will be doing a show Monday night. That's my normal night that I do a show. I do normally every night about 6:30. And again, like I said, Barb and I will be on the Canton Chronicle on Sunday night at 7. And we have our standout next Saturday, 12 to 3 at the Stoughton Center, right across from Town Hall. Let me see. Dateline. Nope, still not. Yeah, still not. They still haven't dropped it. So I think it'll be up after they do the West Coast. Yes, Barb. The website has all of our events. The website is just justiceforsandrabirchmore.com. And then our Facebook page has it. And I always update Twitter too. Let me get the website so you guys can just click on it. I'll drop it in the chat for you guys. Come on. So if you guys want to go check that out, you can. It's a great way if you're not on Facebook and you're not on Twitter. It's a great way to get our what we're up to. Here we go. Paste. Okay, that's the website. Good night, Barb. I'll talk to you tomorrow. Sleep tight. We have a long day tomorrow. Oh, good news. Tomorrow we are cleaning out my area, and I am going to be getting my room together so I can transition from my bedroom to my little studio that I have in another room. The room was actually being set up before for a recording studio for me, and then I got sick and I wasn't able to do stuff, so I kind of let it collect junk, and it's already set up with my desks. I do have to buy a chair. I have to buy the curtains I bought were crap, so I'm buying new ones. I found some ones that I like today. Hopefully they're good once I get them in. And because I'm putting like a curtain, like set of curtains up for a backdrop. And yeah, I can't wait. I'm probably not going to be in there till mid-October because it's still warm upstairs in my house. When my dad insulated this house, he went a little overboard, so it gets really, really hot upstairs, and the ACs are coming out tomorrow. So not that there's an AC in that other room, but but yeah, in a couple of weeks I will have my new area. It's going to be a similar theme. It's going to be red and black. My walls aren't they're not black like they are in here. They're dark gray. And you're welcome. You're welcome. Yeah, that's why I wanted to make sure I dropped it in the chat. So anybody who doesn't go onto those pages, you could still get information. Barb updates. That's Barb's baby. She updates it all the time, and she's always working on it. So that's the best place to go get information if you're not on any of the pages, the social media pages. But yeah, I am so excited to have my studio up and running. I'm hoping in a couple weeks to do another episode of Brandon Embry. But besides that, we're just pushing forward. We're going to keep doing what we do and keep pushing Sandra's story every day. You know, that's all we want to do is make sure that more people hear about Sandra's case. And then also we take Sandra's case and we use it to, so this doesn't happen to another young woman like it did Sandra. You know, we don't want any other Sandras out there. You know, it's not just police officers, it's coaches and you know, and priests and you know, that have groomed children, teachers. And we want to use Sandra's story to ensure that this doesn't happen to another child. And so parents can talk to their children about grooming. So obviously in an age appropriate way, so they can teach their children, so their families can be proactive. You know, we never, if we can save one child from ending up like Sandra did, you know, and also we want to educate the public on grooming. That's one other thing I wish they touched upon a little bit more. I don't think it was really hammered home. I think the only time grooming was really entered was uttered was by Chief McNamara. And I think it should have been showcased a little more. But I mean, I thought, I mean, like, it was like apples and oranges from like the Karen Reed one. This was so much better, so much better done. It was fair. You know, it didn't even, you know, like, you know, Josh Heel wasn't mentioned. It talked about the other guys, Divine and William, but it didn't even hammer home like the stuff that they were doing. So, but I thought it was pretty well balanced. Scott, I'm always not happy with mainstream media, especially Dateline 2020 type shows, but at least it was a national exposure for Sandra's case. Yeah. And I mean, like, for somebody who lives this day to day, I thought they did a pretty good job. You know, like I said, I did nitpick at the beginning. I still feel like, you know, it's kind of weird that Free Karen Reed got into it and Justice for Sandra Birchmore was not in it. But I digress. You know, there is supposed to be a digital thing coming out that'll feature more of what we were doing collectively as a group, and the work that, you know, especially the work that Barb and I were doing. But like I said, it wasn't even about, I didn't care if I was in it. I just wanted our group to be showcased because we were a part of like pushing this out to the public, you know. We all worked so hard to get it out to the public and get people in Massachusetts understanding what had happened to Sandra. I mean, like, we're still educating Stoughton. You know, a lot of people in Stoughton were saying, oh, she's the Canton girl because she was murdered in Canton and she lived in Canton when she died. No, she was the Stoughton girl who just happened to live in Canton for 2 months. So that's my only thing. Just, we've worked hard as a group, and you know, Barb selflessly just, you know, being out there for her cousin, and all the people who show up to our standouts and, like, you know, who make signs and excuse me, and, you know, like the day that he got arrested, there were two groups that rushed to Boston and down to the Stoughton Police Department. You know, we as a group have done so much to educate the public on Sandra's case. And yes, we we did it with free Karen Read, and we were able to say, hey guys, there's another case over here. And there's a lot of free Karen Read who are probably in the chat right now and have come to stand with us now. And you're a part of that too. You know, it's citizens standing up. You know, people aren't just mad about Karen. People are mad about Sandra, and people have been speaking out and standing up. And I just feel like that was something that was lost, because it's they showcased free Karen Read, but they didn't showcase us. And it's like, well, this is about Sandra, so why? You know, I think they could have even cut that a little shorter. Like, when I found out that we weren't going to be a part of it, I was like, can't you guys just put in like a 30-second thing and just say kind of like what they showed of FKR? And just do a voiceover, not even like, not focusing on one person, like not taking any of my interview or taking, you know, I know Barb was heavily, I'm so glad Barb was heavily featured in this. She deserves it. She's been fighting so hard for her cousin, and that's all that matters. But I wish, instead of some of the stuff clips that they put in, you know, our group should have been included. That's my only gripe. It's my only gripe. That's my only gripe. But it was a lot better than Karen's, like so much better. And wasn't Karen's a 2-hour episode? So in that shortened time span, we got so much more information, and it was such a they were fairer to Sandra than they were to Karen. And I get it, they were kind of trying to play down the middle and not pick a side, but sometimes you got to pick a side. That's just me, who's somebody who is part of FKR, you know, somebody who believes in Karen's innocence. But I'm glad, I'm so thankful that Sandra is her. I said to Barb earlier, our world is expanding, and a lot of people just learned about what was done to Sandra. That what these men did to Sandra wasn't right, and it was disgusting and vile. And because, especially with it not being a it's not a televised trial. It's with it being in federal court, people aren't going to be able to see it unless you go. So it's important for these things to be told, because we don't want like the little leaks to come out into the public that, you know, that the defense is going to try to push this narrative. They're going to try to say Sandra was just a whore, she was sleeping around, and, you know, her family life. They're going to go after the family. They're going to go after Sandra's character, and obviously that's what defense do. And it's like they're going to go at there. It's going to get ugly when it comes to Sandra. So at least with this coming out now, people get to see what was done to her and what really happened to her, and not what's going to come out in the trial when they try to go after her and her family. Yeah. So Scott, as somebody who, I mean, who was so, neck deep in, like, Karen, standing up for Karen, you were there like almost every day for court, I mean, you could probably put on a couple fingers of how many times you missed things in like what, a 2-year period. You were just there all the time, one of her champions. And what did you think of how they said that, McNamara said she was working, that the FBI contacted her right after the internal report came out. Because we've always wondered, I was mentioning this earlier, we've always wondered, excuse me, like when, which came before? Was it, like the chicken and the egg? Was it Sandra's case or was it John's case who came before? Well, the way it made it sound tonight was that they were kind of happening about the same time. I did say this earlier before you came in, but I'm curious to hear what your opinion on this is. That Sandra the report came out in September of 2022, and that's a little while after Alan Jackson joined Karen's team. I think that's around when he was just starting to make appearances in court in September. So it's like they were, the McAlberts were starting to get their subpoenas in, we were saying probably around April, like a little bit around before or after Turtle Boy did his first article on Karen. So, like, what is your opinion on it? That they might have been the same time. So that also makes me wonder even more, because I've always thought they were still in that the investigation into what happened to Karen, happened to John, it had never fully stopped. And this makes me wonder if it, even more so, did it fully stop? What's your opinion on that, Scott? Yes, I agree. That's what thank you for that, Jen. When I do speeches at like Morrissey's office and at the State House, I believe I said it, I call them monsters all the time. There are words that I hate using, like relationship, but there's like, I say disgusting, vile relationship when I make speeches and stuff like that. I'm sure the feds contacted Stoughton Chief McNamara. She was sort of powerless over DA Meatball. Thank God the feds went there, arrested Farwell. Finally, I agree, fully agree. But I just find it interesting that it seems like it seems like they were doing both cases at the same time. They probably had two different teams working on the cases and were working together. But it seems like, if you think of the progression of when they ramped up their investigation into Karen's case, was about the same time that they were getting Sandra's, same time. So it's also weird too for me, because I started on like really on Sandra's case about a month and a half before Turtle Boy wrote his first about a month and a half before Turtle Boy wrote his first article on Karen. I created the Facebook page, so maybe 2 months. I created the Facebook page on March 2nd, and I believe his first article was April 18th, around then. And so I just it's all like flowing together to me. Like, it's like, oh, okay, we were all of us were on the same track at the same time. We just didn't know it. Like when I started taking on Sandra's case, I didn't know the FBI was going to jump into it. Yeah, McNamara said last night, or you mean like when I started the page, McNamara said tonight that after the report, they called her. So it just kind of makes sense. And we were all flowing in the same direction. We just didn't know, I mean, it's kind of funny because after the internal report came out, Turtle Boy did did a stream about Sandra's case, and like I had watched everything that I could find about everybody who said anything about the case. And this was when he thought he believed what the police were saying, and he was like, he thought it was still a suicide. And then I saw a TikTok, because that later on, when I had jumped into, like, really started really deep diving into Sandra's case, somebody did a TikTok saying, hey, you got to go check Turtle Boy's articles out. He's talking about the Karen Reed case, and he's also mentioned Sandra Birchmore. And I was like, that's weird, because he thought it was a suicide. I was like, let me go watch what he's saying. And then I started paying attention to what he was doing, because I was like, we're dealing with it's the same investigators, same DA, it's the same. And then, like, now it's even more of a ebb and flow, that the FBI was like right there with us at the same time. We knew that about Karen's case, but we weren't sure exactly when they came into Sandra's case. So it's like AJ was coming on Karen's case. The FBI was asking about the reports. That's around the same time I was starting to get into Sandra's case. And then in the New Year's, when I deep dove into, like, started being, all in for Sandra's case. And that's like a little bit before Turtle Boy started for Karen's case. So it's like, oops. I feel, hold on, it's like highlighted. I can't read it. I feel it was because of Sandra. They were watching what was happening with Karen, but I don't know, all the deaths of everyone. Yeah, it's like I said, what came first, the chicken or the egg? And it's like, now it's kind of seeming like same time, so did they find something interesting in Sandra's case that, like, made them say, hey, we need to look at the O'Keefe case, O'Keefe death? Or is there something that in John's murder that they were like, oh, we need to look at the Birchmore one? What is Morrissey up to? So that's even more interesting to ponder. I know it's ludicrous that he's still insisting that it was a suicide, and it's ridiculous that he's still insisting that the medical examiner is still insisting that it's a suicide. Like, and the answer, I gotta go back. Like, I'm probably gonna watch it again tonight, but I gotta go to the part about the medical examiner, what the medical, like, actually can fast forward it to the end, because the medical examiner said at the time of her death, this is what we had to work. Basically, this is what we had to work with. No. Yes, at the time of her death, that's what the Massachusetts State Police were coming to you with. But, let's talk about when the FBI came to you and they brought Dr. Spock, who told you Sandra was murdered and the reasons why. And he told you that the hyoid bone was broken and X, Y, and Z, why he thought she was murdered. And you still haven't changed it. You still haven't done a review to ensure that maybe you guys didn't get it right, and maybe you should change your findings. So what is up with that? Is there pressure being put on the medical examiner? Or is it just she's bad at her job? Because for a medical examiner to miss a broken hyoid bone is pretty fucked up. And more times than not, the hyoid bone is broken when someone is strangled. And they said there were no signs of a struggle. The broken necklace. She had abrasions on her nose. These were all things that indicated that there was a struggle. The blunt force trauma to her chest, her upper chest area. I've always wondered if he punched her in her chest because she had an indentation of the buckle in her upper chest. And they were saying that she did it herself. Well, the buckle was up by her, I believe, right ear. How could she have done that if when she put the ligature around her neck, the buckle was up here? You can't have both. It's absolutely disgusting, and my prayers are with the families of Boston, and it's made me wake up to following everything more closely where I live. Yeah. And people want to say it's only Massachusetts, but I'm going over another case. It was my first case that I worked on for my channel. Brandon Embry, same shit happened there down in North Carolina. And I know of another girl who was murdered in North Carolina. Same shit. It's people in power. This isn't about right. This isn't about left, red or blue or independent. This is about people in power like Morrissey, who use their power to cover up crimes and help those people who have helped them get to their prominence. And they don't want to give up that power. Power and influence is a drug. And people in power don't want to stop getting that high. Yes, Scott. And that's one of the things that I've been saying for a long time. It was proven in the Karen Reed case that DA, MSP detectives tried to influence MA medical examiner findings in those FBI, the text messages. And that's and in John's case, luckily, she stood her ground. Yes, she didn't say it was murder, but she didn't say it was, she said it was undetermined. And if they can't go in a certain way, undetermined is the way you go. Like, we would have loved for Sandra to get an undetermined. Yeah, Brandon's case it's sad and it's horrific. And when I go over the next 2 episodes, buckle up. Yeah, I agree. Garino is a scumbag for his part in this, but it's almost a red herring. As I've been screaming for the last 2.5 years, and they said tonight, Massachusetts State Police had the text messages from her computer, and they even said from his phones. We've always been told there was no text messages on his phones, but I don't even care about his phone. They were all on her computer. They went through those text messages. Those text messages were part of the Stoughton report. That is how they knew that Farwell had essayed Sandra at age 15. So Massachusetts State Police are talking out their ass. They had proof of the relationship. They had proof of all of this. This wasn't something that FBI pulled out. No, The Massachusetts State Police had it all. Oh, exactly. John Fanning should have never been on this case. He was a former Stoughton police officer. He worked with Robert Devine. He was there, I don't know when he started, but he left in 2005, I believe. He worked with Robert Devine. He was there at the Stoughton Police Department when the Farwell brothers were in the program that Sandra was in, the Explorers program. They started with Robert Devine. There was the Explorers before Robert Devine took it over, but in 2002, Robert Devine took over the program. And the Farwell brothers were his deputy chief and his lieutenant. They ran the program with him. He took them under his wing, and he was their mentor in tons of different ways. And if you read the Stoughton report, Holmes says it a bunch of different ways. His wife used to also come in and mentor the program. But John Fanning should have never, just like Proctor, he should have recused from this case. There has to be some sort of conflict of interest that these people hold a standard to. Of course, they're police officers and you're going to know them, but it's one thing of knowing them and another thing working with them. They're two different things. It was Fanning and Dunn who did this case. They're the ones who investigated this case. They're the ones who interviewed Farwell at a school instead of bringing him down to the station. They're the ones that didn't get a warrant to get Farwell's DNA. They're the ones who, didn't pursue murder charges. They're the ones who left her necklace on the floor for family members to find. There's so much that they just let go. And for them to say in their statement that the case is still open, they're full of shit. And also, why haven't they charged them with larceny? They were doing these things on the job. They were billing Stoughton for their hours. Why haven't they been charged with larceny? Larceny is paper. It's all paper. It's paid stubs and time punch cards. I'm sure McNamara would love to testify against these guys. So it's like, why hasn't anybody else been charged with anything? Get these assholes off the streets. I fully agree with that, Scott. The minute they saw that video, they would have went and picked him up. And that's why when we do our our big things, like we've done Morrissey's twice, and I always say something similar to one of the last ones we did it wasn't the Sandra one, it was the one before, where it was the combined one. It's the Stronger Together one, where I had all the guys put their hand up, and I said, you mean to think that if it wasn't you who did this to a young woman, you wouldn't be locked up right now? Because they would have. Any guy who did this and wasn't a cop would be locked up right now. The Stoughton report is if you're on our Facebook page, it's on our Facebook page. right now I'm going to drop the link to the website again. Give me 1 second. Because they are there too. That has the most of the report, most important reports. The two important reports are, you're welcome, are the Stoughton report and then the FBI affidavit. But I want to warn you, the FBI affidavit is hard to read and you will be disgusted. You will be absolutely disgusted. But I think it's something that if you want to look into this case, those are the two most important reports to read. It will show you and horrify you what Sandra went through, what this man did to her. And just imagine, that's just one of them. There's the two other officers. There's also Officer Heel. There's an Army recruiter. And we don't know who else that they were introducing her to. All of them should go down for what was done to Sandra, not just Matthew. Are there any other questions? Because it's getting kind of late and I have a long day tomorrow because our Facebook page is about to explode. We're very happy. This is taking, stepping up our game. And, as you guys saw, some of you saw, Cheryl was in here. She was in the show. She was her one of her bosses. There's a lot of people who, that I'm glad we sent Cheryl to Dateline because she added a texture that I think would have been missing if she wasn't there, especially talking about that day, what was going on that day before Sandra was murdered. Jason who? Yes, you can go to the pre-trial stuff. Thank you, Sue. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. Spent almost 3 years on this case, and all I want is for Sandra to get justice. I just want this young woman to finally get justice because it makes me sick that she was set up, that she killed herself when we all know that's not what happened. And when police officers do wrong, and use their power against the public, and then other police officers cover it up, and a district attorney covers it up, that I'm trying to think of how I want to say it. That takes a society and turns it on its head. We put our trust in the police and DAs to do their job properly. We put our trust in their hands. They have a lot of power over us. They can take our freedoms away. And when they lose our trust because they are doing wrong, it's one thing. But to do what Matthew Farwell did and his twin brother and Divine, It's vile, it's disgusting, and in a civilized society, it cannot happen. This should never have happened to Sandra. So, thank you, life artist. Um, you know, and thank you, you guys, for being here. You know, like I said before, you guys are part of the Justice for Sandra Birchmore group. Just being here, helping me get Sandra's case out there more. You know, if you're not subscribed, please subscribe. And after we end, can you please pop out and like this? And if you feel like making a comment, make a comment. Just, it helps get the story out there more. It helps me be able to reach other people to broaden Sandra's story, and it helps me answer questions. You know, there are questions that you guys have asked. There are little things that I know that the general public doesn't know, even that wasn't in the show tonight. And it's good for you guys to be able to have a back and forth like we're having, so you can get more information on her case and also learn how to prevent this from happening to another child. You know, and you guys are helping with that just by being here. You know, you're helping the story be pushed out more. Oh, my stomach keeps gurgling. Exactly. That's why they say sunlight is the best disinfectant. You know, you put a spotlight on the corruption, it can't hide. It can't hide in the shadows. And tonight was a good tonight was a flicking on of the lights for a lot of people. They got to find out what this young woman went through, and you know what her family has been dealing with, and that there still are questions we need answers to, but we're taking a step in the right direction. Thank you, Amy. Thank you. I love replay crew. You know, because being a smaller creator, when there's a larger creator on, you know, my views dip, but replay crew like brings it back up. So I appreciate you all. I appreciate everybody in the chat too. Thank you so much for being here, and thank you for taking an interest in Sandra's case. It means the world to us. Like I said, you guys are our partners in this. It's not about me. It's not about Barb. It's about the collective of us getting her story out to a broader audience and answering the questions that you guys have about her case. Oh, thank you. Thank you, Amy. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Yeah, October's gonna be good. I just hope both dates stand. I agree, Scott. And there's a lot of people now in the state of Massachusetts who are saying, wait a minute, first Karen Reed and now Sandra Birchmore, what is going on in Norfolk County? There's a lot of people, you know, this weekend, because not everybody watched the show tonight. They'll watch, you know, it's not, they had a DVR. They're seeing this and they're saying, what the fuck is going on in Norfolk County? Why is DA Morrissey still in office? And why hasn't he been let out in shackles? Hopefully time will tell with that. So, do you guys have any more questions? I will be doing another show on Monday. That's my normal night to do shows at 6:30. I haven't decided what the show will be, about yet. There will be a video for me to play. The one that let me check one more time before we head out. Let me see if they dropped it. Just make sure it hasn't been dropped. Because if we could see it tonight, I would love to play it for you guys. What am I doing? Dateline. Yeah, no, it's not out. It's partly because, you know, I think it's because of the it hasn't been shown on the West Coast yet. Let me just check Instagram because it was Instagram. Yeah, no, they still haven't posted it. So on Monday, I'll post it on the social medias, but I would like for us to sit and watch it all together and talk about it. So if you could join me Monday, that would be wonderful. I appreciate all of you guys, fine people, for coming. I know he's been in office for way, way too long. You know, he needs to go. He needs to just go. I agree. Shame on Morrissey. And shame on his Massachusetts State Police goons. So, yeah, if there are no more questions, I'm going to head out in a minute or two because I just want to hit the 1 o'clock mark. I have these weird things about numbers with my OCD. But yeah, I will be back here on Monday at 6:30. And if you are in the area, please come join us on Saturday from 12 to 3. We need as many people as we can get there. You know, you can make your own sign. It doesn't have to be anything elaborate. You just grab a old pizza box and write on it in marker, "Justice for Sandra," or "Justice for Sandra Birchmore," "Shame on Morrissey," "What happened, MSP," "Sandra was murdered," anything you want to write, or go to the dollar store and buy a big piece of poster board. We do tend to we ask people to wear light blue or white because those are Sandra's colors, but you don't have to. If you don't have any of that, just come join us, come hold a sign, come and ask more questions in person. Please come join us. We need everybody there that we can have there, get there, because it doesn't end with this TV show tonight. This is like the intermission. I don't even know if we're at the intermission yet because, we still have the trial, but we still have a lot of people still to educate. There's a lot of people that still need to learn about Sandra's case, and hopefully a lot of people in Massachusetts watch this tonight. I hope. It's at the Stoughton Center. It's right across from Stoughton Town Hall at 12 o'clock. And parking's a little iffy down there, but we usually park right over at Town Hall because it's, it's Saturday, so not much is going on at Town Hall. So that's where we usually park. But yeah, come join us if you're in the area. And if you're not, I'm not going to be streaming. I don't know if anybody else is going to be streaming, but I do have to talk to somebody about seeing if they want to do a partnering up with us about streaming, because I know a lot of people like to see the standouts. So I gotta talk to some people about it. But so okay, guys, I'm gonna head out because I need to get to sleep because our page is gonna be crazy tomorrow. Thank you for joining me, and thank you for wanting to know more about Sandra's case. I love you guys. I am Mizzy, and I'm a mixed girl in a mixed world. Have a good night, guys. Thank you.